In this software tutorial, I will be demonstrating the Reaper DAW and how to record audio and MIDI very quickly into your session in order to get your projects up and rolling right away. So, this is the default layout of Reaper. The transport up at the top, the sequencing area here in the middle, and the mixer down at the bottom. So let's set up our audio device so we can get down to business. Clicking on this Reaper item menu item at the top will bring down a list, and from which I can select preferences. This gives me all the preferences I can choose to modify Reaper, sorted into categories. So under the audio tab is device, and clicking on this list selection here, I can display the list of all the devices Reaper has access to. Selecting my Focusrite Sapphire, I can also select the sample rate I want to use through Reaper. Reaper communicates that to the device and sets the device's sample rate by selecting this, checking off this box. Otherwise, Reaper, my device rather, communicates with Reaper and sets the Reaper session to the sample rate that the device may already be at. So it works both ways. Click Apply and then OK. We can also do this by selecting this area of the title bar at the top here, which handily displays our sample rate, our bit depth, and the file format our recordings are being saved as. And clicking on it brings up another menu from which we can select audio device settings, and it will automatically go to the device preferences in the Reaper preferences window. Let's add some tracks simply by double-clicking in this open area or in the menu, or in the mixer rather. So that's one way to do it, or through the menu. Up at the top, selecting track, insert new track. Or we can insert new tracks by going to the insert menu, and then we have singular track here or multiple tracks. I will be creating 3 tracks for this session. This drop-down list gives us quick access to 10, or we can manually put in whatever we want. I will name them Test for this tutorial, and conveniently Reaper numerically appends a number to the end of each track for convenience. Now, to set the input for these tracks is a simple matter of clicking on this input strip here. This gives us the option for mono, multi-channel, or MIDI. Each track is the same, and the media which it hosts can be selected after the fact. So you don't have to go through a menu to choose specific tracks for the kind of thing you're using them for. So if I make a selection of tracks by holding down Shift and clicking, it will select all the tracks in between, and then I can set my input across all the tracks selected. When I have a selection of more than one track, I can assign inputs sequentially, mono, stereo, or MIDI, and it will give me a range depending on how many tracks I have selected. For this tutorial, I'll be using input 1, and by clicking record arm, since they're all selected at the same time, record arm is applied to all of the tracks selected. So now to record, I will just click on this large red record button, and we can see that the audio is being recorded. If I want to stop the recording, I may click on the record button again, and it is automatically saved to the hard disk. If I stop a recording by clicking the stop button in the transport or the spacebar, it brings up a dialog window from which I can choose to delete specific items, or double-clicking on an item brings up a window that I can rename that specific file to something specific. Or I can delete them all or save them all. So now that's audio. Let's get some MIDI in here. The MIDI device settings are found similarly to the audio device settings. Clicking on Reaper and Preferences once again. MIDI devices just below audio devices. This list gives you all the devices connected to your computer at that time. Right-clicking on each device allows you to enable or disable them through this menu. So we can use the same tracks, and all we have to do is change the input. Clicking on the input strip here once again, selecting MIDI from the menu, and we will choose all channels. Now record arm them in order to get visual feedback from the meters, and you can see that the meters are displaying data. Now the data represents the velocity of the MIDI notes. Now recording it is exactly the same as recording audio, just clicking on this record button and playing a few notes. You can see the MIDI living harmoniously on the same track as the audio. Now I'll add an instrument quickly, clicking on this effects button to go to my plugins list, and I can sort it by what kind of plugin I'm looking for, instruments, and I will choose this piano. I'll just close this window, it's unnecessary, and in order to hear what we're doing live as we play it, we want to record monitor. So we can click this button. It has a little speaker icon on it, and the tooltip tells us record monitoring is what this button does. So clicking on it turns it green, and we can hear live what we're doing. Since I have this audio, this data already recorded here, I don't need to turn it on, and I will hear back this piano. Now the MIDI and the audio will play back as usual, even though they're on the same track. So each track is multitasking, essentially. So that's how to get audio and MIDI really quickly into Reaper. So I hope you have a lot of fun using Reaper, and there's a whole lot more under the hood, so check out the Reaper user guide. There's a lot of functionality and a lot of power